Yeah, we're going to talk today. I'm going to talk today about my work with the 1960s trouser splitting, pop singing Texan PJ Probie. I first met Probie around about, I think it was 1968, but I'd seen him many times before then, but I actually met him in 68 when he was performing at a place called the Garrick Theatre Club in Lee. And my father was an inspector in the CID and he knew the club owner, so they took me in to see Probie when he was appearing there. I had my picture taken with him. It's knocking around somewhere, can't quite put my finger on it, but it's there. And it's featured in the 70th birthday booklet about Probie. I think the fan club published that. But anyway, that was when I first met him. I'd seen him in 1964 at the Opera House in Blackpool when he first had Hold Me Out. In fact, when I went to see him, he just released the song Together. We stroll the lanes together. Yeah, there's something strange about Probie. He seems stuck in the 1950s, his work, you know. But anyway, this was 1964 and he was good. There weren't many people in the Opera House. It was a afternoon show because we had to do that because we had to get the coach back. I was living at a place called Lee at the time. That's the same place where the Garrick Club was. Yeah. Anyway, years passed and I became extremely ill, and whilst I was extremely ill, I had an out-of-body experience in which I was in another dimension and met with the angels. And the angels, I told the angels, I said, listen, I'm not ready to die, you know, I'm not ready to go, you know. So they said, everybody tells us that, you know. So they said, if we do allow you to go back, what are you going to do with the time that we'll allow you? I said, well, I was a nurse, I was trained as a nurse. I'd go back and help people who've got physical disabilities or mentally handicapped adults and help them. They said, they're very interesting, we like that. That's very good, we'll help humanity. But they said, there's something else you want to do. And out of the blue, I just said, well, I would like to resurrect PJ Probie, the pop singer. They said, that is very interesting. They said, now go outside and sit down and we'll consider sending you back on a mission. So I went outside this room and sat down, and time passed and they kept calling my name to go to the next location and I wouldn't go. And then suddenly I was back in my body. I was extremely ill. Yeah, and they discharged me from the hospital in a wheelchair. Told me I'd never work again, never walk again. Anyway, I enrolled myself on a university course teaching adults with learning difficulties to get a teaching certificate. Went to university in my wheelchair, got the certificate, got a job with Lancashire County Council where I was working, and during the one day I got a phone call with one of my friends. He said, guess who's living at Bolton, which is just up the road from where I'm living, you know. I said, come on, who's living at Bolton? You know, tell me, lad. He said, it's PJ Probie. And as soon as I heard that, I knew that this was the time I had to work to do it. So I sat down and I wrote a song for him. I wrote the song, you know, and the song is called Stage of Fools, based on the story of Probie's life. And also using quotations from King Lear. When we are born, we cry that we have come to this great stage of fools. Yeah. So, because Probie threw it all away, just like King Lear did, you know, if you know anything about Shakespeare. Yeah. Some friends tell me I'm still the same. The world keeps turning. Was I to blame? I took the chances and broke the rules, and then I fell on the stage of fools. Yeah, so anyway, I got a demo recorded by my friend and sent it off to Proby because we found out where he lived, his actual address. And Proby phoned me up. He said, I've got the song, I like it. He said, if you want me to record it, come up and see me. So I went up to see him in Bolton, and he was living in the back streets of Bolton. I think it was 164 Hatfield Road. Yeah, the back streets of Bolton. Anyway, Proby agreed that he would record it. He would do a demo with me. We had to do a demo first of all to see if he could still sing. We didn't know if he could still sing. So we went to Bolton. I went to Bolton, picked him up, and drove him to a place in Preston, and a recording studio in Preston. But on the way, seriously, this is true. On the way, we were driving down the motorway, the M61, and it was just before the M61 converges with the M6. And all the traffic stopped, completely stopped, and everything started to pull right over to the left. Obviously there'd been some kind of incident. We didn't know what it was. We were just in a car. This is 1990, don't forget. This is 30 years ago. There were no mobile phones then. You know, you just didn't have them. So we just didn't know what it was. So we just pulled from the overtaking lane into the centre lane and stuck behind the queue of traffic. And Proby sat next to me, and I wound the window down because it was quite a sultry night. And as we were doing this, alongside, I could hear this music from the back approaching me, approaching the car, and it was a big white American limousine with all the windows blacked out, but the window nearest the passenger side wound down. And out of that, as it pulled alongside me, was coming the music, the song, Somewhere by PJ Probie. And he was sat next to me. And there's a place for us, and the limousine pulled past my car on the right, straight forward, and just as it was supposed to be entering, where the traffic was, it disappeared. I said to Proby, what do you think about that? He said, nobody's ever going to believe that. Yeah. And at the time, same time he was doing that, he was necking these Carlsberg specials. He used to drink them. 8%, I think they are, or 8.5%. Anyway, we finally got to the studio, and he did the demo, and he was absolutely brilliant. I mean, his voice was just as good as it was in the 1960s. He was a bit of a wreck, because he was obviously been consuming great amounts of alcohol. So anyway, I take him back to Bolton. I paid him, I think it was £200 for the song. I had to pay him cash. That's what he wanted. Paid him the £200 cash. And he was living in this lady's house. Yeah. And believe it or not, I got a call from him shortly after this, and I said, what is it? Because his name's Jim, you see. So I said, what is it? And he said, I'm in prison. They've locked me up. She got to come and get me out. I said, what's going on? He said, they say I've done this, that, and the other. So I said, all right, I'll come. So he was in the lockup at Bolton, in the police cells. So I contacted a solicitor that I knew and asked him to act on behalf of PJ Probie, James, and he agreed to do that, said he'd meet me at the police station. So off we went. I went in my car and he went in his car from Manchester. We met at the police station, and he went in and he managed to get Proby bail. The charge was that he had been he'd hit his landlady, the lady who owned the house. Yeah, apparently he'd asked her to use the money to go and get some more Carlsberg special, and he drank Jack Daniels as well. He wanted some of that, and instead of doing that, she bought food. Yeah, because she said he needed to eat. So he had an imitation Colt 45. A proper one, felt like a real one, and he waited behind the door coming down from the stairs above, and when she came through the door, he clubbed her with his imitation weapon, smashed all her head open, laid her out unconscious on the floor. An ambulance came, took her away, and she was in hospital at the time, and the police arrested him and charged him with assault, grievous bodily harm, I believe it was, or ABH, something like that, actual bodily harm. And the solicitor got him out on bail. Yeah. So, and the lady didn't appear again. Her name was Elizabeth Marles, by the way. Yeah, if anybody wants to check that out, 164 Hatfield Road, 1990, Elizabeth Marles. Just so you know that this is not an invention. What I'm telling you actually happened and is the truth. Okay? So, anyway, Proby's out, he's on bail, he's at home, yeah, and we decide that we're going to take this a stage further. We're going to record Stage of Fools and a number of other songs and put them together as a 12-inch single, you know, that we'd release. So we went to recording studios at Chesterley Street, believe it or not, near Newcastle on Tyne, and we stayed at the Holiday Inn, which is a nice enough hotel, you know. So we're staying at the Holiday Inn, or supposedly staying at the Holiday Inn, but he refused to get in my car. He said, I ain't getting in your car. He said, I want an helicopter. If I don't get a helicopter, he said, I ain't singing. I said, listen, this isn't bloody Heathrow Airport, you know. This is Bolton and you're in the back streets. Now, if you want paying, lad, get in that car. Anyway, he said he wasn't going to go, but so I had a contract. I said, listen, here's the money, yeah? I had about 500 quid for the thing, for him to sing, you know. I said, I'll pay you in advance, but we signed this contract and you get in the car. So his next door neighbour witnessed it. I signed it, Jim Proby signed it, yeah. That was a release document for his voice, and then I gave him the money. Then he got in the car, and off we went to Chesterley Street. So anyway, we're staying in the Holiday Inn, yeah, and it came morning time, and we were due in the studio at 10 o'clock. So it came morning time, it was about 9:30 in the morning, and I'm banging on his door, Proby, get your arse moving, we've got to go. So he opened the door, let me in, and he's laid on the bed with his Stetson hat on and his big cowboy boots, you know. And I said, we'd better get moving, you know, we've got a couple of miles to go to the studio. I said, I don't think I'll bother today. I'm not in the mood. Oh, really? Yeah, so he's not in the mood to go. And he was watching cartoons on the television, something like Tom and Jerry, something like that, you know, laid on the bed. And all of a sudden the television stopped, Tom and Jerry, and a news flash came on. And it was a newscaster from Newcastle on Tyne, I believe. And it said, we're bringing you this news flash to tell you that there's been a fatal accident at Newcastle International Airport. A Jet Ranger helicopter has crashed into power lines, killing both the passenger and the pilot. And Proby switched the TV off, turned to me and said, let's go to the studio, John. But the strangest thing about all this was that in 1961, there was no PJ Probie, there was just James Marcus Smith, and his stage name at that time was Jet Powers. And the helicopter that crashed in to the overhead power lines was a Jet Ranger. I'll tell you more about working with PJ Probie and recording this album, yeah, in part 2. Thank you.